guys really, really hard, and they execute the system, and that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
Trust.
He's pretty
Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir.
Right on cue. Hey, right on cue. Hey, let me.
We're back on the Jumbo Set podcast. It is Tuesday night, August 13th, 7:03 p.m. My name is Jake Louque, and I'm joined in studio here in Fells Point by my guy, Gentle, Spen Crangshaw, live, not really live, but live recording from Clipper City Barbecue. How we doing, pal?
Doing fantastic. We've come a long way from you and I doing this originally, Baltimore Beatdown. 5 years ago, I was in a U-Haul van. Suddenly we have this beautiful setup thanks to Sam and the crew at Clipper City, where you can get a haircut, or if you want to do a fantasy football draft, if you want to record a podcast, Sam has all this equipment, this big monitor, lights, microphones, anything you need. So definitely go check out Clipper City if you want more information on that, to have an event, a watch party, anything of the sort. Hit me up. You can hit them up on Instagram at Clipper City and check them out. They're right across from the Pendry. It's awesome. They have a patio they're building out here. You can do anything that you want back here. You can go crazy. You can go nuts, shirt brother. You can go nuts in there. So yeah, come check it out. We're going to be recording Jumbo Set here. This is our first runs. We're setting up a bunch of equipment, having a ton of fun. Sam hooked us up with all this equipment. So we're fired up to be here, fired up to talk football, get together in person. You and I haven't recorded an episode in person since after, I think, the Chiefs Ravens AFC Championship.
Yeah,
game.
one of the more sober podcasts ever recorded, and
there
one
are a
of
lot
the
of people that were not happy with our state.
One of the happier ones ever recorded too. Just amazing memories that you're bringing up right now for me.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a lot more in person. We're probably going to have some watch parties here too. Maybe some Orioles.
He's setting up a little space in the back there too. We don't want to leave that. We're kind of in the back room, but there's a back of the back, a little bit of a backyard situation, I think is how they describe that. So yeah, it looks like he's really off to a good start with this space here. I'm very excited.
Yeah, fired up. We got second best podcast in Baltimore. Number 2 behind 99.5's Shower Thoughts with Intern John.
Intern John and the boys.
John and the boys. So they won. Congratulations to them. Thank you to everyone who voted for us. And feel free to do so again next year. So we were number 2 at the silver medal during the Olympics.
It kind of reminds me of, I think Dan Patrick would lose the sports Emmy for, I think, broadcaster to Bob Costas every year, and he would always have him on, and Bob Costas would just absolutely roast him. So I feel like we need to maybe do a little collab with Intern John and what they got going on there, and see if he can come in and just excoriate us, because we deserve it for not getting the top spot. Not that I'm mad.
Don't put that in the newspaper. Not mad at all. But yeah, thank you guys for voting for us for that. And we had our first football game of the season. There's some news coming in, so we're going to get to the preseason game probably in the back half here. Good bit of media availability, press availability, a lot of little news tidbits, things like that to cover. So the weather here has been unbelievably beautiful. We have to talk about weather. That's all
that rain. People were probably not happy in the moment. I don't know that I was, but Lord knows we needed it, because it broke that heat. Nice 80-degree weather here for the past week or so. I'm hoping that continues. It looks like it's going to. Sure, we'll get another kind of second, third summer wave coming in here, but you got to enjoy it while you can.
You certainly do, and we are doing so now. So fired up, happy to be here, happy to talk some ball, happy to get football underway. The Ravens have 2 more preseason games, and then Chiefs coming in hot.
They do. A couple production notes here too. This is the first time that we're doing this in the space. We have recorded live before, but we got some things going on. We have a guest in studio with us. Tutu Schultz, Tupac, is going to be moving around a little bit. You might hear some clicking in the final audio. That is his paws clicking across the linoleum or whatever floor situation we got here. So just be aware of that this time around. We'll get everything. I think what we need to do is get him. What was the Charlie Day, the kitten mittens that he had?
He's being a little kitten himself right now. I've got him in my lap now. So
he's a sweet boy. We appreciate Tutu. We appreciate his clicks. I'm just putting that out there because listen, all the production stuff, it starts and ends with me, right? So
he just waved to the camera.
You can't be mad at that, can you?
No, you can't. So let's hop into it. We got some clippings. You fired up some clips for us, and we got a little 2-part little clip for Trenton Simpson to pull up in a minute here too.
I do, and we did want to start with the news, of course, today that the Ravens signed running back John Kelly. That was a name that I remember, sort of one of those late round running back, names that I think people got a little bit excited about a couple of years ago. I'm sure it didn't totally materialize here. We'll get into Shaheen Ali and his performance in the preseason game. I don't know if it was the most inspiring. I didn't get to watch all of the game in person. I was kind of bouncing around that night. I've gone back and watched a little bit. People didn't seem too pleased with Shaheen Ali. I think this is a tacit acknowledgement that the Ravens were not themselves. Thoughts on John Kelly?
John Kelly is a big bat. Push the pile, goal line, punch in a little bit more. Rasheen Ali,
of course. Yeah.
Not related to Muhammad, but
I was
box.
I was also thinking Adam Shaheen. That's probably what the tight
Adam
end.
Shaheen, Muhammad Ali.
The tight end that was like 7 feet that the Bears drafted. That I don't know that he wound up doing anything, but an interesting player.
A nice little backup tight end there for a little bit. So yeah, John Kelly, a different body type. We'll talk about the preseason game a little more. Was not very impressed with Rasheen Ali. I think he's explosive. He had a nice kick return. I could see that being his nook. He, by all reports and, at Marshall, nice pass catcher, could do some fun things, but he just doesn't have a lot of sand in the pants. He wasn't really pushing piles. John Kelly should be a pile pusher. He's got haunches. He's got that big trunk. He can throw some weight around a little more. Ali got stuffed at the goal line 3 times in a row, I think. 2 times in a row, 3 times in a row. Can't push the pile. He is high cut. He runs super straight up. Explosive. That's something he can develop a little bit better, but very high cut, high pad level. So I like to see them bring in a bigger back that maybe can.
And I will say, you mentioned the touchdowns thing there. I remember one of the criticisms of a young Gus Edwards in the preseason, runs a little high cut kind of thing. So they can still develop him. This doesn't necessarily mean that they're moving on from Ali. I hope not, because I love the name, big Muhammad Ali guy. But yeah, a little bit of competition here is not going to hurt anyone. And, obviously you've got the starting running back in Justice Hill, and then Derrick Henry is kind of your change of pace guy, of course. So,
right.
It's just another kind of name behind those two guys, with the starter in Justice Hill firmly planted there, going to be the starter. And then Derrick Henry will be kind of your, the thunder to your lightning there.
Yeah. Justice Hill, the starting running back.
I don't know why I'm so tickled by that, but it's just such a John Harbaugh thing. Like, yeah, Justice is going to be the starter right now. Just going to kind of casually throw that out there. And
he's a starting running back for us. He was just wanted him to know. He just wanted to have his back in the media,
which is good.
Look, don't forget about Justice. Justice works hard. They signed him to an extension.
They did. He's been a great player. I love Justice Hill. I've been one of his bigger defenders over the years, I think. And he's played some very critically good football for them. I think at times last year he was probably their best running back, which isn't saying a ton given the state of that running back room. But man, you think about some of those catches he made down the stretch, the touchdown against the Dolphins,
that rail route down the sideline. He really stepped up in pass pro. He's a gunner. He's a returner. He plays football. He's a football player. That's why John Harbaugh loves him. He'll block, he'll throw, he'll kick, he'll catch, he'll run, he'll hit, he'll tackle. He'll do all the things you need.
I don't know that we have seen him throw yet. That's something that
he looks like he has I'm going to say this. Justice Hill has a horrible arm. Yeah, I don't know what it is about him. He can't throw 30 yards.
He's kind of, he's a little bit of one of those more short,
like
squat
track
guys.
Athlete.
He doesn't look like he should run as powerfully as he does, because he tapers off a little bit at the bottom. The arm thing.
I can't see him having a good throwing motion. I can outthrow Justice Hill. I'll put that on record.
Do you think you could throw a rock if we were to go like out to where the water is out there? Do you think you could throw a rock from one end of like that little harbor inlet to the other?
Yeah.
Interesting.
A rock. Yeah. I think I throw a rock.
Yeah, just a standard.
Not a football. I don't think I throw a football that far, but I could throw a rock that far.
I feel like a football might be easier.
Rocks, I can huck a rock.
Okay.
I've had a lot of rocks growing up in the driveway. Used to huck them down onto the street. May have hit some cars. Maybe not. Maybe. There were loud bangs. Was it me? I don't know. It's hiding in the trees. Don't implicate yourself. But yeah, Ravens sign John Kelly. So that was the first bit of news on the old agenda here. Second is that Kyle Hamilton had a little bit of a scare the other day. He left practice. They took him in for assessments. John Harbaugh had some things to say on his status today.
Right. Well, yeah, it'd be kind of ramping back a little bit. He's good. It's kind of a minor sprain. I'd say a sprain. And so we got out there and moved around a little bit today, and he'll just kind of progress each day a little more. Be out there going. So John, saying it's a little bit of a minor thing. It's a sprain. They're kind of ramping him up, progressing him a little bit more here and there. Sounds like he had a pretty darn good practice today if you listen to the people that were out there. So
twisted the knee a little.
Okay.
Twisted the knee.
That all you got?
Ken Griffey Jr. He's too young to be broken. I'll knock on the wood for him, but he'll be fine. He's made a medal for now. Maybe like 27 he'll tear the ACL.
Can we not do that? Can we not put that?
I do an ACL death pool with a couple friends every year. We pick 3 players each. $500 from both people if you get one right.
You and your
None
friends
of us have.
You and your friends, I love you and I love the dynamic that you guys have, but it is one of the more demented dynamics that I think I can imagine. I like to think my friends and I have some weird group chats. I've been in some of those with you and your boys, and it gets a little wild in there.
Boys are dark. The boys are dark. But yeah, so Kyle Hamilton's good to go. He's going to be good to go. He's Captain America. He's Ken Griffey Jr. Excited. We see him in the preseason game taking the leadership role. Still only 23 years old. Still just 23 and is giving pregame speeches, doing all that stuff. He's like Marlon Humphrey's little big brother. He's turning into the big brother now of that situation.
I said this the other day that the Jordan year thing and how he takes it a little too seriously, maybe takes himself a little seriously in some ways. He's not all the way there, but he's kind of there, and that would be a good block for Marlon to get on. Marlon had a little Instagram story the other day where he reshared Kyle Hamilton talking to the media, and he said something to the effect of like, this guy really thinks he's a rapper now or something. I got to think Marlon, maybe it's the settlement or something, is getting my kind of PR campaign over there to Marlon, because it seems like he's leaping on that strategy, and it hopefully it starts working for him. Marlon needs some W's here, especially against Kyle Hamilton.
He does. So good to have Hamilton back at practice. Such a pivotal chess piece. He's the player that Roquan Smith makes sure you have a good defense. Having a Kyle Hamilton makes you able to have a great defense. Having that chess piece, having someone that can do all of those different matchups, can be dropping from wherever, blitzing from wherever, the length he presents, the ability to mirror in coverage, being a play ender too, being someone that can hunt down a receiver or a back or a tight end and bring them to the ground and get off the football field, end the play, stop the play. So glad to see Kyle back at practice. Hopefully not a long-term issue in any way. Hopefully not some tiny, teeny little tear that turns into a bigger one later. Hopefully it is just a sprain. And if not, we'll see. That's football, unfortunately, but we'll pray for Kyle Hamilton to continue wreck and shop, and that's what he's primed to do.
Yeah, I don't remember him being around the football as much as he was this past year, like at Notre Dame, or certainly not in his first year. So yeah, the progression's been amazing. I mean, you remember that San Francisco game with the 2 interceptions and the one where he kind of, was on the ground and he gets back up, just plays all the way through the whistle.
A Chargers game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that draft night, looking back on that, your reaction to that pick, I know you like the pick, but Jordan Davis versus Kyle Ham. I mean, not to moonwalk all over you here with that.
You literally only liked him because he went to Notre Dame.
That's the only
Jordan
reason
Davis,
that a 6'4" safety who runs like he does and has the wingspan.
If Jordan Davis is going to be a bum, then he's going to be a bum, and it's going to be because Jordan Davis is lazy. That was the report coming out. I think he has all the physical ability in the world. We've seen flashes of it. Kyle Hamilton, also a very good player. I said I wanted Jordan Davis more. Yes. Who did I want after that? Kyle Hamilton. Who did I want after that? Jermaine Johnson. I wanted Jermaine Johnson over Tyler Linderbaum as well at the time.
What's going on with the Jets, man?
Just making a mess. Just Joe D up there making a mess. Hassan Reddick they trade for under the assumption that they were going to get him a new contract from the Eagles, and apparently have not advanced any sort of contract talks since trading for him. So he's pissed, and that's rightfully so. Say one thing, do another, people get mad. So the Jets are just a drama factory. I don't know how. They always just manage to be. It has to start with the Johnsons. I would assume that over coaches, GMs, players, quarterbacks, fans even, it has to be the Johnsons. So I'm going to blame them.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to look at ownership in a situation where ownership continues to, prove to be the issue, and I think that is firmly the issue with the Jets there. And yeah, you can't help but feel for Joe Douglas a little bit. Like he probably wanted somebody to say, hey, like, just give me the money to go and re-sign this guy. And they just can't do it. Now you've got my guy, Aaron Rodgers, out there talking about the Ian O'Connor book that came out, something about his darkness retreat, I think related to the title there, maybe Out of the Darkness or Into the Darkness. I think that would be more of an apt title actually, but maybe I'll talk to Ian about that. But yeah, just overall, I'm really excited to watch the New York Jets this year.
I'm excited to watch the Bears. Have you watched any Hard Knocks?
No, I need to get on that. I've been kind of, I don't know. The last couple of years, I've been kind of on the block that Hard Knocks has really just turned into nothing but a commercial for the league. But I think I need to just get over that. And just
they've done a better job figuring out that they are what you just said. They know what it is now and have leaned into it instead of trying to fake that it's not like that kind of more omnipotent view of the team and that more shiny view from above, as opposed to like the nitty gritty, who's the UDFA, whatever. So they've done a better job being more general and in production of it. I think they've done a nice job so far with it. And
if you go back and watch that Ravens one from, 20 years ago at this point. It did feel really raw. Like it did feel.
It is not raw anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
Pause.
well, I think it was at the. I mean, if you go back and watch it now, like I think it definitely like you're getting more info, you're getting more insight, but it's also like that was one of the more charismatic, character-filled teams. I think back on that Cowboy season when they had like Pac-Man Jones and stuff. That was a really fun one. But even a couple of years ago, like even when it was turning into this kind of slick, sort of sleek, modern presentation, the Browns one was really good with Baker when they picked him first overall, and that was only 6 years ago. So yeah, I think this is probably.
I feel like a big part of it is what organization you're in. What is the head coach like? What is the GM like? What is the quarterback like as well?
Yeah,
those are kind of the three main characters for the most part. And Matt Eberflus, they make fun of him in this, that he has like upped his swag. He has a fade now. He has a beard now. That's part of the show.
I don't know if you've seen this, but the Barstool guys have the like barber come through. I mean, shout out to Clipper City here. So with his competition, I guess, out in Chicago, this guy, I'm forgetting the guy's name, but he's got like
a team barber.
Yeah, he's like the team bar. He's in with the Barstool crowd too. So they've interviewed that guy before, and that's the guy that's lining Flus up and giving him kind of that sort of sleek. It's kind of like, imagine if Ben McAdoo or somebody had tried to do that, because McAdoo tried to mess with his look when he was with the Giants a little bit. He tried to like slick back the hair and like.
But Eberflus is from the Midwest though, so it's a little different because he's like, oh yeah, I'm getting it, getting sharp here.
No, it definitely is different, but it's just funny because I remember like there was a joke. I think Mina Kimes maybe said like something to the effect of like, why does Ben McAdoo always look like he's in disguise? Like that was kind of a funny thing. And like the way these coaches just, aesthetically evolve over the years. And like, it's always funny because it never happens to the guys who are secure, right? You've got Bill Belichick walking around in these ratty hoodies and Andy Reid, just eating the cheeseburgers and just doing what he does. It feels like when you start to like aesthetically try to like change your appearance a little bit, maybe there's something subconscious going on there with some of these coaches. Maybe it's a little bit of an armchair psychologist thing that I'm doing. We got the casting couch over there. Actually, maybe I should move over there and do some of these bits that I'm doing. But overall, I don't know. Maybe that is a reason to tune into Hard Knocks. He was going with Flus and the guy that's lining him up there in the bar.
There's good Caleb Williams content. He's fun. He's exciting. I'm excited to watch this one. I haven't watched it yet.
What's the deal? What's the deal with the voice there?
He sounds like an actor. It's bothered me for months now. There is a specific human he sounds identical to. I'm going to get it eventually. I'm going to pull it. But he just kind of has like he talks in this a lot. Like that my voice doing what his does is like, yeah, he kind of talks in a higher pitch.
He sounds like Jesse Camp, who was on that like some MTV show or something. He has this really weird voice, really weird way of speaking, which is way more extreme than Caleb Williams. But just in terms of,
I think he's eccentric. Like I think he's smart. I think he's really intelligent.
Yeah, I could see that.
And he really tries to measure his words, and you can tell that he has a lot of thoughts going on. When he talked to the media, he's like, let me take a second to choose what I'm going to say about.
He is also a guy who's probably been in front of a camera since like he was in like high school at this point. Like, he's just one of these dudes that it's just been, I'm going to be the dude my entire life. I've been preparing for this PR media thing. And like, he grew up with social media too. So probably very aware of all that stuff.
Yeah. He was out in LA winning Heisman, doing all that kind of shit. So Hard Knocks. Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That was Kyle Hamilton. Moving on. We had some interesting thoughts here that it's not really news, but something to expand upon, something to watch. Zach Orr's thoughts on little David Ojabo.
From the standpoint of he's finally healthy enough to stack days of practice, and I think you see that from when he first started practicing to now. Just he's getting better and better and better, and we know what type of talent he is. He's strong, he's big, he's athletic, he's fast, he's mean. Everything we look for in the outside linebackers. And all he needed to do was just get the reps, and he's getting these great reps out here. So I'm really excited about him. He continue on the path he's going. He stays locked in. He keeps working like he's working, and God willing, he stays healthy. He's gonna have a great year for us.
Makes the interesting point there that I think we've made in the past with Rashad Bateman and missing out on training camp reps. You could kind of throw away a lot of those comments. It's kind of like hardball ball. Oh, he's nasty, he's mean, he's rough. But like when you get into the nitty gritty of what he starts with there, that he's finally healthy enough to start stacking days at practice, that is kind of a key for me, because you start off with the Achilles injury coming out of Michigan. You don't do much your rookie year. Injured again, you can't really do much. You can't practice that much the sophomore year. And it's kind of a critical year for him. And to be present and able to train throughout training camp with all these guys and be kind of a sponge and soak up all the information, I think is pretty important. So I'm excited to see what they get from it. It just feels like found money with David Ojabo at this point. Like if he turns into anything, if he gives you 4 or 5 sacks, I feel like you'd kind of take that at this point.
Yeah, again, I'm going to call him injured until proven healthy. I think he's guilty until proven innocent here. So whatever you get out of him, you're happy with. I don't think fans have a very high expectation of him. They took a shot on the Achilles. He ends up tearing the ACL. So yeah, this is huge. He has to be able to stay healthy this season if he wants to make enough money to play professional football and continue and do those kinds of things. So healthy enough to practice, healthy enough to stack days. And I think what he ended with, if God willing, he stays healthy, he's going to have a good year. And I think that's it. We saw immediate flash. As soon as he was able to get in the game, he immediately stripped Joe Burrow, forced a fumble, caused a sack as soon as he could play. So it is availability being the greatest ability, of course, always, forever, and has a lot before him. It's very interesting, the juxtaposition of him and Owe, who is kind of on the other end of that spectrum, where it's like he's been just healthy enough to make an impact, but hasn't quite made the impact that it feels like he's maybe been capable of doing so far. And you look to Justin Madubuike being on the other side of that wall of someone that was in the shoes of maybe not an Ojabo with the injuries, but in Owe's shoes, looking to have the breakout campaign. I would be remiss to think, I would guess that the Ravens try to sign Owe to an extension right now, just like they tried to do with Madubuike, and make it cheaper and try to wage that way and see if he wants to bet on himself, do the same thing, because he's a hard worker. They love him. They clearly are happy with him being their number one guy. They didn't feel desperate to have to go get outside linebacker, edge rusher, whatever you want to call it, in that situation. So I think it's an interesting spot between those three guys, looking at the $100 million Madubuike, Owe, who's trying to get into those shoes, and Ojabo, who's at like step one of that now after his injuries. So a very interesting front there from the three, the Nigerian nightmare that is Ojabo, Owe, and Madubuike.
Yeah, we talked last week, like, is this going to be the sack year for Owe? And it's interesting you mentioned the contract thing, because maybe he'd sign it, but I just feel like teams just throw money at pass rushers or guys who could theoretically rush the passer. So if I'm Owe, I'm in no rush to sign. And if he were to go out and have a good year, signed or not, that could be a good source of inspiration for Ojabo to, hopefully kind of start walking that same path as well. So
had a little note here from the Orr interview as well. I believe it was Todd Karpovich asked a question to Orr referencing what Chuck Smith had talked about yesterday as we're recording. So Monday, we're recording Tuesday. Pass rush coach Chuck Smith said yesterday that Odafe Owe's 2023 stats were deceiving due to some of the stats that ended up going to Jadeveon Clowney, and we know that he missed some games too. Do you see him playing more snaps this season and also getting more production? Or answered, yes, I think the sky is the limit for Odafe. Odafe has had a great training camp. This is the best training camp I've seen him. This kind of sounds like a Trump quote. This had a great training camp. This is the best training camp I've seen him.
How dialed into the X spaces conversation were you? X spaces, that doesn't sound good.
I've seen highlights of it. I tried to join, and I was one of the people who couldn't. And I was like, I'm not doing this. Some of
the Bill Ackman tweets, he was just like, I'm sitting here listening to the sound of silence. I was like, I feel you, brother. I wasn't tuned in, but
apparently there was a period where Elon left at the end and Trump was just kind of rummaging around after. And
he's starting to, we're not getting political here, but like DJT's starting to really lean into like some of the like vocal affectations he takes on. There was a lot of blood. Like he's like elongating the L's. Like he blood. Yeah, they were very bloody. Not good at all. But continue your thought there.
He's like having fun as he's talking. But so yeah, he said this is the best training camp I've seen him have. I do agree. Stats are one thing, but when you cut on the film and see the quarterback pressures or just causing havoc, him drawing a double team, getting a pressure for someone else, we count that as stats as a coaching staff, even though that might not necessarily show up in a stat sheet. Yes, we do expect Dafe to play even more and be even more disruptive and more explosive for his stats to go up, because he is the guy. He's the guy. Like I said earlier, the better Odafe Owe is, the better this defense is, and the better the team is going to be. I'm excited about it. The dude, he comes every day, fully locked in, focused, ready to work, and that's great to see. I'm really excited to see him when we get out there and really get going, because he's got a different level of intensity. That was a full quote from Orr, and all the beat reporters say he's heavily disruptive. He definitely always dominates in training camp, and I do see the parallel between Madubuike. What was the breakout? And I doubted Madubuike in a sense. I was so high on him for so long. I said, at some point, there needs to be the connection of turning a pressure into a sack. It's one step. It's being one step sooner and having a little better feel for where the quarterback is relative to you beating your block. And I said, I'm going to think Madubuike doesn't end up making that leap and is just going to be a good player. He did make that leap, and that's where Odafe Owe is. He can beat his man. He can get a pressure. He can win a rep. He just needs to be a little bit more rhythmic, a little bit more fluid in that movement. 1/2 measure, like don't rush, don't drag, 1/2 measure sooner, and he can translate that into a sack. Almost away. Everyone keeps calling him. He's a good player. He's a good player.
I will never get out of my mind you comparing him. I think it was after a Packers game in 2021 as a rookie. It was like this bizarre kind of COVID game where Aaron Rodgers, played really well. Huntley played really well. The Packers wind up winning, and Owe missed a sack. And you said that he needed to deliver a back shot, and you compared him to a certain adult film
Jonathan
actor.
Sims.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for putting that out there. And you said he needed to just deliver a back, and like it was very fun. Like I cracked up in the moment. Like it was one of the funnier things you've ever said. But it's also like there's some truth there. Like where was the killer instinct? And like with a guy that athletic who has all the tools, it was kind of the anti-Ozzie pick where no sacks in college and all that had kind of followed him a little bit. And then he starts off super hot, gets a couple sacks, strips the running back in that Chiefs game. They wind up winning in dramatic fashion. Then he just kind of went quiet. And it's like, sometimes all you do need is that kind of killer instinct, and that it's very intangible, right? It's not something you can really quantify very well, but he does finally put that together. And we've seen it with Ravens pass rushers in the past, not first rounders, but you think back to a Paul Kruger, you think back to these guys that kind of, they take some time to put it all together, and then it comes together just at the right time for them to get paid, either in Baltimore or elsewhere. So we'll see with Owe.
Definitely. He's one, again, we talked about Kyle Hamilton taking you from good to great. Owe is another one in that category. If he turns into a Pro Bowl, if he has a Pro Bowl stat production season, the Ravens defense shouldn't have a significant drop off.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's all we got for news. If we want to jump into a little preseason analysis, I noticed you were prepping your clips over there. So how about you take it away, lead us into the breach here.
Certainly. So the Ravens do fall in this preseason game. I think the Settleman, was super like, oh, the Ravens are the underdog in this game, and what the heck, Vegas is blah blah blah. Those days are over. The Ravens are going to go 1-2, 0-3 in the preseason. That's my initial takeaway.
I know it's Jack's job, but I think that's how you're crossing a line there. Like if you weren't doing that for a career and you're having those thoughts, 1-800-GAMBLER, my friend.
Definitely. So the Ravens ended up finishing with 11 total first downs offensively. The only player skill position wise that really stood out to me, Tylan Wallace had a nice catch. He didn't play a ton of snaps. Was Owen Wright. I thought Owen Wright looked significantly better than Rasheen Ali. He had a 12-yard carry early in the game. He did get the earlier snaps, which isn't always a direct implication or causation of correlation to the depth chart, but he looked better. He looked in rhythm. He had a 12-yard gain. He looked like he could push piles. He looked like he knew how to set up blocks, hit the hole, do all of those things. The pass game wasn't there. Just really not a lot of takeaways. Ravens are 2 of 12 on third down. After watching some tape, I thought Roger Rosengarten, I think he ended up playing about 20 snaps. Cole was kind of shit talking him a little bit against the run in the run game. And
I thought he was like kind of hot in the pants about him.
He was, but then he tweets whatever. Cole will say things and then like bait on Twitter. And I will be like, stop, Cole, stop. But so
the guy's got a mortgage and he's trying to raise 2 kids here.
He does. Shout out to the little ones. But he was like, said something about him in the run game. I thought he was fine in the run game. What I'm looking for in a rookie offensive lineman in their first real action that I see, are you stepping with the correct foot in the correct direction? Are you getting to the guy and engaging in some way with the correct, to my eyes at least, I don't, it might be the wrong person, whatever, that's my own analysis, but are you getting to the right defender? Are you cutting them off to the football in some degree in the run game? Are you pacing well with the other linemen? He did all of those things. Technically, with his hands, his hips, some things, can he get better? Finish his block a little? Sure. But I want to see you mentally know what the fuck you're supposed to do first. And if you do that, I'm happy. I'm happy to see that. So I saw that in the run game. In the pass game, looked fluid, moving, comfortable. Nothing was setting him off really at all. They ended up having Falele at right guard, which is what Harbaugh. I think they're trying to inflate the stock or something. I didn't like what I saw there. Harbaugh praised Falele, so whatever. He's smarter than me. And then Cleveland looked fine at center. Was nice there considering how large he is and how it can be tough to switch to snapping the football, all that good stuff. So was impressed with Cleveland, was impressed with Rosengarten. Voorhees, Cole made a good point too, shouting out that he kind of missed some stunts with some delayed blitzes and things like that a little bit, but everything looked great out of Voorhees. Him and Josh Jones, I would think, have a pretty hefty competition going on. Obviously, Ronnie Stanley's going to start on the left side. So offensively, not a lot of takeaways. Devin Leary leads a nice little touchdown drive, a little quarterback sneak with a failed hardball challenge in there. People are, of course, I am like that from the fan perspective, the Twitter perspective. The Harbaugh hate so fast again and so early is just blows.
Well, it never went anywhere. Like the team went away for the summer. People kind of, moved on to the Orioles or whatever it might be. You can kind of put it.
I just don't recall it being this bad like 4 years ago.
No, I mean, expectations are raised now. I mean, 4 years ago, they had a young quarterback. It was kind of the beginning of something. Now it feels like people expected a Super Bowl by. I'm not one of these people, but I think it's relatively reasonable to have expected more in the postseason by this point. And that's where it all stems from. I think it does get out of hand. And I love John Harbaugh, but it's just kind of, it's the way it's going to be moving forward until they finally get over this hump, which we'll see. I don't know if it's ever going to happen.
Super Bowl or bust over and over and over again. Defensive side of the football, Trenton Simpson really stood out to me, especially on the broadcast. When I turned on the tape, there was maybe, again, I talked about OA maybe being a tick slow, was doing things correctly. I loved the ability to take on blocks. I have some clips here that I'm going to pop up in a moment. Here we go. There we go. All right. So you can see Trenton Simpson get highlighted on the fly here. First time doing this. Knocks Britton Covey on his ass in this rep. I'm going to rewind it. Knocks him out. Absolutely puts him on his ass there. The physicality is apparent. We're going to see him diagnose a little screen here, stays with everything, doesn't get out of the way, and then just walks up, smacks 64 in the mouth, and gets after it. Then we see him in the run game here, going, engaging. This is a power situation, engages, smacks another lineman in the face, break the hands, walk away, goes right up, makes contact. Physical, consistently physical. We'll just run it through one more time, all these reps here, but ends up having, I think, 7 tackles early on. The physicality is apparent. He is, what I like to say, alive, alert, and awake, playing linebacker. He is processing. He is watching. He is trying to read his keys. Hasn't played a lot of games yet. The physicality is apparent. He is going to engage a blocker. He is kind of the opposite of Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith likes to slip a lot of blocks. Trenton Simpson is going to take them on, punch them in the mouth, and then go to find the running back. I thought he did a nice job when he didn't have to of forcing the running back's hand at times as well. If there was a zone concept, zone gives you a two-way go. The running back wants to press to get the linebacker to flow too quickly. Then that's where the cutback lane comes. The linebacker has to do the exact same thing. You need to make the back be the one to commit first. It's a game of chicken between running back and an unblocked linebacker. He won the games of chicken, which I liked a lot too. So I said it was a get a jersey game. I think this is going to be somebody that people are going to be buying jerseys of by October, November. In the past game, I could see him being green in man coverage, doing some of that stuff, asking him to be quote unquote the will or the weak linebacker that's not spot dropping in some of those situations. That he's going to do, I think, at a solid level. We saw that at Clemson. We see the physicality. We saw it pushing Britton Covey to the ground there, just jamming the piss out of him. But I could see spot dropping. It's going to take him reps. He's going to have his mistakes. He even talked about that himself. He wore the green dot in this game. Everybody loves to talk about. So he's talked about how that was a fun experience, getting to kind of look through Roquan's eyes and see what he has to see, how things are relayed, and be in communication with Zach Orr there. So I think it was a really strong game from Simpson. And then I went and checked his PFF grade, and it was a 55, which has always made me laugh. So I liked that part too. But was really impressed with him overall. Thought he was awesome. And then otherwise, defensively, the big story is Nate Wiggins, right? Nate Wiggins all over social media, the NFL accounts posting him, saying who had the best coming out or debut, whatever you want to call it. Was it Caleb Williams? Was it Nate Wiggins? Was it JJ McCarthy, who unfortunately might have torn his meniscus? But Nate Wiggins, awesome. The physicality. And again, we talked about like natural skills a little bit. Like he just is aggressive to the football. He's probably a really good defender in basketball. He probably could be a really good defender in soccer. He is confident in his athleticism and attacks. He was attacking the catch point. He times it well. He can probably grab the absolute shit out of some rebounds. He can probably win headers in soccer if he played soccer. Like he's going to go up and get it. He's going to go up and punch the ball out. The aggression is there. He's somebody you'd love to be a defensive midi in soccer or something like that. Like that's what he reminds me of. He can leap. He is confident, and unfortunately ends up with the injury what little weight he has, he throws it the fuck around. He's not playing tentatively at all.
Which showed up on the Clemson tape. Like even
Yes.
just the highlights, that was kind of a big thing for me. It was like, you can't teach that type of like get down. And it's similar to Marlon a little bit. And now, Marlon's dealing with injury issues to your point, but it's just one of those things that you either got it or you don't. Preseason is, you can't take away a ton from it. You can look at young guys and see if they have certain traits. And this is definitely one that I would point out for him.
I don't know. Keaton Mitchell blew my mind so much last year that and everybody shit talks preseason. The physical traits, like you just mentioned, translate. And we're like, oh, I did this thing. I was like, oh, Keaton Mitchell is not going to outrun starting cornerbacks like that. And he fucking did. They're all NFL athletes. The difference is like IQ. The athleticism is within a much tighter margin than it appears. And I think that John Ross is fast, man. He was running stride for stride with John Ross. John Ross is fast. Had some injuries, whatever. It's a fast, smaller receiver. He ran stride for stride with him. Then he had a 6'6" receiver in Johnny Wilson that the Eagles had. Big D1 basketball playing Johnny Wilson was up at the rim rejecting him. So all of those are going to translate. But we also saw in Red 2, playing red zone defense, the Eagles run a little quick waggle. The running back, Will Shipley from Clemson, also his former teammate, goes fast to the flat, flips out to the flat, and Wiggins is watching a little bit too much. Doesn't know I have to be fast to the flat. If I see fast to the flat, I have to immediately be there. Would have been tough still anyway, but those little learning things. So processing wise, he's young. He was a true junior. So the injury ends up happening, the shoulder. They get some good news. Sounds like he should be ready for week 1. They're going to, put him on ice for a couple weeks. I don't know, man. That could be a lot worse. Shoulder injury, shoulder strain. I can tell he's not going to be bench pressing. I can tell you if he tried to, it hurt really bad, probably for the next 6 months.
And given what's gone on in that training room and weight room the last 5 years, I know things are different now, but yeah.
I mean, even we were just talking about Always missed games, missed a chunk of games a couple times. Bateman has missed a significant amount. So these younger guys trying to manage that and not overwork them. And it's a big shift. I remember Harbaugh the year in 2018 when they drafted the set of tight ends, Hayden Hurst and Mark Andrews. Both of them missed like pretty much all of camp. And I remember the comments he said, he was like, these guys coming out of the Big 12 and the SEC, I think they were a little more calloused by now. Yeah. Basically saying these guys can't fucking stay healthy. He basically called them pussies.
He called them soft. Yeah, I think he might have actually said like Andrews in particular was soft because Andrews was like not a huge blocker at Oklahoma and everything. That was the rap on him coming out. And everyone was like, well, maybe he could be Dennis Pitta at best. And then, the game is just obviously different than it was now. And a guy like that is going to come out and do what he does.
Competitor. Yeah, he's a competitor. So competitor at heart. So it's all you can ask for. Competitors at heart. Bateman back at practice as well. Speak of him. Receiving wise, I don't know, man. We didn't get to see the 6 gauge in this game. Maybe we get to see him this Saturday against the Falcons at home.
Might portend well for him because they threw Demarcus Robinson out there a couple of years ago. He
went crazy. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they were like, we need to see what this guy can do. It's like, maybe they're just like, yeah, whatever. We'll just have Gage be in the plans for the team already. I don't know if that's the case, but it could be.
I think it could be as well.
He's also been working back from injury too, so that could be part of it. But.
Very, very, very true. Ojabo doesn't play in this one. He's getting close to being medically cleared. And this is the stupid part is I wasn't terribly impressed with Travis Jones. Broderick Washington had a couple bad reps, had a couple good reps.
I think if you're a guy like that at this point,
exactly.
Yeah,
they're not fighting for anything. They're just like, I want to go through warm-ups, get my body out there a little bit. Whatever the result is, doesn't matter. Get a little blood in my mouth. Little bite of the animal there. So. Yeah. What else do we see in this one? Sanusi Kane got a concussion. He was throwing his weight around. Bo Brady. I messaged you and Coleman's like, he looks fucking small initially. And then he threw his weight around too. So physical on the back end.
That is a guy when you get a Terp on the team, people are going to be keeping an eye on him.
So. Everybody. Yeah, exactly. Everybody wants to see a Terp on the team. So our Darius Washington back, Pepe Williams comes in a slot pressure. On a very classic sim pressure, Mike McDonald, freaking Rex Ryan, Harbaugh, Zach Orr, sim pressure. And it was funny because Zach was playing exclusively pretty much 2-4-5 to begin with. It was like Robinson and Harrison on the outside, and they're just playing some like basic like two high looks. And then all of a sudden, like it was like the third down, and all of a sudden you saw pressure, and you saw another one, So I thought that was funny. Wasn't the craziest pressures. They weren't like stunting at the same time or looping, but Yeah. So takeaways from this game. There's a lot of Ryan Tannehill rumors going around.
I was
Where
going
did
to
that
bring
even
this
come from?
I was going to bring this up. We got a comment last week on our Jumbo Set video version of the podcast on YouTube, which everyone should subscribe to. Obviously, the X52 podcast YouTube channel. Why didn't you guys talk about the backups? These guys are ass. Like, if Lamar goes down, we're screwed. And I think there's an element of like, well, you're screwed anyway, but you do want a guy that can come in and win a game. I don't know if I'm confident that Josh Johnson is that guy. I certainly don't think Devin Leary is there yet. I kind of wouldn't hate bringing in a veteran. I don't know if Tannehill fits what they're trying to do the best, but he is certainly the most accomplished guy out there. He's had some injury stuff the last couple of years. His play certainly fell off with the Titans. He'd be a solid veteran. I don't know, but I don't know if that was one of those Twitter rumors that started up or if somebody kind of actually in the know threw that out there.
I'm not sure. I will say the Eagles pretty much only ran RPOs for like a long period of time. And the Ravens were just running like vanilla ass dropbacks. And
well, they're trying to make Kenny Pickett look good, you know, a little trade chip there, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But Ravens didn't run shit. And I do think Josh Johnson's going to play better with the Ravens starters in the game and Derrick Henry back there and Mark Andrews and throw. We've seen Josh Johnson do that shit. I'm confident Josh Johnson can do it. I liked him as the backup. I wish Tyler Huntley was still here, but he's not.
He's fine. He's just getting a little older. It's like, you know, you
just running around back there. He was making some little.
When you've got a young quarterback, I like having an older backup. When you've got a veteran, I kind of like the idea of having at least one young guy in the mix. Maybe it will be Leary. You know, I didn't really watch his drive a ton. I got to go back and watch.
He had a touchdown drive.
Yeah. So, you know, I you know,
it's tough, man. We're not seeing shit. I mean, the coach's scoring of that is going to be more relevant. So it's going to look a lot different. If Devin Leary ends up being the backup and it's week 7 and you need him to play a game, it's going to be very different from what we just saw today. So,
I mean, given like
this week,
Lamar's had, you know, knock on wood, right? He stayed healthy all last year and that was great, but he's had some injury issues and he's probably going to miss a game when COVID surges again. We just saw him get sick again. It could happen at any time. And especially when the weather gets colder, it wouldn't shock me. Just completely randomly, he's just sick all of a sudden.
Guys aren't playing 17 games all around the league everywhere. Allen,
I'm not saying they are, but I'm saying that's even more of a reason.
I'm agreeing with you. Yeah. Allen has missed some games. Burrow has missed some games. You know, Mahomes here and there, they miss games. It happens. It just happens. Part of football. So.
And it's going to be 18 games anytime, any day now. That's going to be coming across the pike. We're just going to have 18 games, and it'll be 19. Why don't we just do 19? That'll make everyone more money and make everyone happier. Oh, you like 19? Let's do
Tuesday night football,
Friday night football. Fuck the high schoolers, right? Let's take over Friday. Then we're going to take Thursday again. We'll do Wednesday. We're just gonna
gamble. We're gonna gamble every day.
21 weeks, 22 weeks, 23. Let's just milk this for every
night, every single night. I'm betting touchdown parlays. That happens anyway. Between college football anyway, whatever. But yeah, it's that's out of control. But yeah, I mean, sure. I am not mad at Josh Johnson being the backup though. So Tannehill, sure, probably better than Josh Johnson. Probably a better backup. Had more starts, is a little fresher in age. So sure, why not? I'm not mad either way. If you need your backup quarterback that badly, then you're fucked anyway.
Yeah, if you need him for a significant amount of stretch, you know, it's probably not going to go very well for you, but you do want a guy that you're confident that can win a game or two for you.
Fucking Derrick Henry.
Yeah, they're built to withstand it. I mean, we've seen it happen. Like Huntley won some games for them. He wasn't lighting the world on fire a lot of the time. In fact, in the games I feel like that he did light the world on fire, they wound up losing.
Like the Packers game,
the OA Johnny Sins game. Like he played great in that game, and of course they wind up losing that one. So I don't know. It's a fickle thing, these backup quarterbacks.
It is. So yeah, preseason game. Other than that, was funny at the end. Jake Elliott misses a kick, gets another chance, missed it into the wind. It was a weird wind swirling. That was kind of just after the rain had subsided finally from last week. That was interesting.
Did you go to the game?
No, I just watched on TV. I didn't feel like going.
Okay. I'm interested.
I'm really glad I didn't go. It's cool to go to the stadium, whatever. But that game was fucking boring.
Have they opened up the new X-Wing or whatever, the Black Wing?
It does sound ridiculous to say. I don't know. And I'm going to say this. I mean no offense to whoever designed this. It looks like a fucking Hilton hotel lobby, like whatever.
It's giving me hotel bar vibes. It's giving me like,
it's not that. It does. Maybe there is cool shit. Maybe the suites are really cool or something. The little bar thing looked. You can go find I can go to the Pendry around. I don't know. It didn't look that cool.
It looks like like some sports book bar that's like maybe adjacent to a stadium, not calling any, ballparks out around here specifically, but it looks like something you would find that's like, sponsored by X company, and they're going to bring you just mediocre pub fare.
Ooh, we have
$14
velvet
Bud
chairs.
Lights. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I don't know. It's just the natural.
Maybe there's way more cool shit that I'm aware of, but just the little pictures I've seen.
It's the natural progression of these things. Of course, this is going to happen over the years, but yeah, it does. We were talking about the wine and cheese crowd last year. It feels totally catered to that, and it just feels
the corporate wine and cheese. It's for T. Rowe Price and Legg Mason and the Green Turtle Company,
Raytheon.
Yeah, exactly. It's for them to go extra schmooze
Northrop Grumman
all the way up. Yeah, exactly. Whoever's around here, so they can go have your charcuterie and enjoy. I'm never going to the club level again.
I wouldn't say that, but like I don't understand.
I don't even like the club level. I don't even like it.
I don't understand.
I'm not supposed to be watching football in a carpeted area. It feels post trying to think of the right word. When society has gone
You're
too
feeling
far,
like Station 11, like when they're in the airport and the world is just breaking down and like people are just kind of milling around in these carpeted areas. I kind of get what you're saying there.
Yeah, I'm like, why am I watching? I've been there a couple times last year though, and it was like a meaningless game and it was raining. I was just like, what the fuck am I doing in here? It is weird. I think I was like freezing to death before that Texans game in the playoffs, and Brian and Lexi snuck me in there to like warm me up before I went up to my seat. So that was nice. But other than that, yes, definitely. If the elements are kicking your butt, sure, I get it. And hey, if you like club level, that's okay. Just not for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like to get out amongst the folks, and I think we're saying this as
I didn't like sitting in the upper bowl I sat in anymore, so I'm too bougie for that. But I'm not bougie enough.
You kind of have. You've left me and the folks out in the cold a little bit. You've moved down into the lower bowl. You're kind of a little bit more in that elite level of society. I'm still up there with my people, with the common rabble, with the Wild Bills of the world, the real fan Dans. That's where the real action's going.
I would like to go back up there in another 10 years after the oldest generation fully is phased out. Once we're 40 and bringing kids to the games and stuff, I am still going to keep hammering. There's a chapter about to close and another chapter of Baltimore sports fans about to like take the reins of the PSL ownership and things. The next like 5 to 7 years, there's going to be a big turnover in the Baltimore area. It feels like there was a big gap of there's like not a lot of 45-year-olds right now, I swear to God, that are like going to games. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it.
I think they probably just don't go because they have young kids, like young kids.
But people used to. There used to be a lot. I was younger, so maybe I noticed more, but I remember there being a lot more kids. Yeah, but
like streaming games and Red Zone weren't as big of a thing when we were kids. So like a 45-year-old dad, like my dad, would be like, yeah, let's just go to the game.
But if you're a hardcore Ravens fan, hardcore enough to maybe buy tickets, you're watching CBS. You're putting the game on CBS.
Yeah, but then you've got your second screen. Shout out to RDT in the frat house that he lives in. You got your second screen experience, and you can get your Scott Hansen on that. You can get your CBS here. You can maybe put on the Fox game, watch a little commies. It's just like it's much easier to enjoy all the trappings of an NFL Sunday than it was even 10 years ago.
Certainly, they've desired to do so, and they've done a great job doing so. But the Ravens game day experience is truly the best. I mean, when opposing fans come, they're like, "Wow, this is an awesome."
I will
awesome
say,
experience.
I'm going to have my eye on how quickly the lines are moving in the upper levels, because you talk about being among the common rabble, and that is one thing that is a severe disadvantage is how, and I don't blame the concession people. They're overworked, and it's just a lot of capacity that you have to worry about. But you leave your seat at halftime to go and get a personal pizza. You're not back until halfway through the third quarter. It's crazy.
You've always been desperate. They need to do better with food and concession at Ravens Stadium. I'll agree with that for sure. Camden Yards is great. Food and concession.
Yeah, they are. And shout out to my Opassi free beer crowd. They keep those lines moving along very, very quickly too. So shout out to those guys. And a baseball game, obviously a different environment. A football, it's just different. Like there's a little bit
3 times more people.
There's more people. There's a little more tension in the air. Like it's just kind of it's a different environment. And if they can find a way to logistically get those lines moving a little quicker, just a little bit of a better experience up there would be good for everyone. That's all I'm saying.
We love it. Coming up, Falcons. What are we looking for? Quarterback play.
I'm excited to watch a little Michael Penix, honestly.
Yeah, he was slanging that thing around. He got I think it was third and short, and they had a pass maybe it was like 3rd and 4. They had a pass concept, and then the team showed like a little pressure and pressed the last second, and he just fucking ripped 4 verts and tossed one over top. So Michael Penix will be pretty sweet to see. Absolutely. And I want to see more out of Tavius Robinson and Malik Harrison if they're coming in. If Malik Harrison looks like he's probably about to play full-time outside linebacker, and they want him to just kind of eat glass and set the edge a little bit more. Come on, Malik. Let's get after the passer a little, though, for fun.
Yeah.
Let's see what you can do. Let's see what you can do in that role. I want to watch it. I want to see it. Get after it. Let's see a little fucking dip around the corner or something. Elite tester in the combine. So I want to see more out of them. Excited to see.
I want to see this offensive line puzzle start to come together sooner rather than later. Like, I don't want them to be tinkering with things in that third game, which I guess the second game is kind of now your dress rehearsal, right? Because they took away the fourth game. So like maybe in this one, like we can really like have an idea of who the starting right tackle is going to be. Is Roger Rosengarten going to put on another great performance? Or if you're asking Cole Jackson, you know, it's just some mystifying thing where 1 second he's, you know, Anthony Munoz, the next second you don't know what you're getting. You know, can we get an idea on who the starting right tackle is going to be? These guard spots, is Daniel Falele, what does he project as? That's what I'm going to be watching for, because I think this team goes or does not go as this offensive line works out. I don't want to throw disaster out there, but I think things could go south if this offensive line doesn't materialize the way they need it to.
I think he'll be in a good spot. Linderbaum currently has an injury. Reports on Ronnie Stanley have been very strong. I think they'll be okay. They'll be good enough, but don't have a lot of depth. They have numbers, but they don't have, I don't know. It's weird. There's clearly going to be some guys lagging behind. Voorhees, need to keep getting him as many reps as possible. I think he's a big one there to get seasoned and has a lot of potential to be a real player for this team. So certainly there. Wiggins not going to be in this one. I don't know. There's just not a lot of juice going on. Not super exciting.
It's been, I mean, literally like all off season outside of like the draft, which I don't even think we were like that hyped about compared to some other years. Like it just
Definitely.
really, things have just been very, very quiet.
Again, the NFL in general has kind of just run it back.
Yeah. And now we've got the Brandon Ayuk saga, which carries on into another week. You know, our long national nightmare continues.
Your boy Kyle and your boy John are definitely dragging this on.
The Cuban Missile Crisis of the NFL, which, you know, who would have thought that Brandon Ayuk, which we were talking about at the group chat today. I'm not even sure he's a top 10 receiver.
Brandon Ayuk is fantastic.
He's good. Yeah, he's very good.
He's great. He's great.
He's great. He's a perfect, just A- receiver. And we're talking about him like the fucking moon landing. Like this guy is just like, you know, it's the Berlin Wall coming down. It's the Cuban Missile Crisis. Tupac is getting all hot and bothered about it too. I know he's very excited about where Brandon Ayuk is going to land. Sounds like the Steelers were at the 11th hour. Are they going to get this thing done? We'll see. Tune in tomorrow to NFL with Ian.
It's the Steelers. He's going to the Steelers 3 days from now or something. There's not a rush. 49ers don't have any rush. What? They're getting a draft pick? Okay, that doesn't help them today.
Well, then why not just re-sign him?
Because they don't want to. They're trying to see if the Steelers will give them more, or someone else will give them more. It sounds like I can't remember the other team. It sounds like there's two teams. The Steelers are one of them. The other team's out of it. Maybe it wasn't the Browns. It wasn't the Patriots.
So if you got one team, are you just having the Steelers negotiate against themselves at this point?
Yes.
Omar Khan is no dummy.
Exactly. But so what? The only thing that happens is that you suffer more.
Yeah. That seems like a common theme here. Like it's just, I don't know. I don't want to get into the self-pity game. We're not doing that, but it's just
a fresh season. We don't need to get self-pity yet.
Yeah, it is a fresh season. And that's what I'm saying. Can we just put this in the rear view and look ahead to week one, which, you know, week one looking interesting now that our guy, little Marquise Hollywood Brown, not going to be playing in it with a sternoclavicular dislocation. I hope everything's good with him.
He will not be playing, which is interesting. Someone was like, I think it was my guy Matt Harmon was like, "Oh, the Ravens revenge game isn't going to be back." And then the Brian McFarland.
I seem to recall a revenge game last year that didn't go too well for him. So,
yeah, it's been years. Brian McFarland, the Ravens salary cap on Twitter said, like, what? It's the revenge game because he asked to be traded and they traded him too. Like,
great. I mean, his real revenge game is going to be against the Chargers if they do play this year. Because that was the iteration of the Ravens that I think he ultimately fell out with. It didn't want to be a part of.
I agree. So interesting news there. I mean, it would be a bigger deal if it happened like the week of and they had already been game planning. And then like, you're like, oh shit, we have to just throw half of it out and use the other half. So they'll have time. They'll figure it out. They still have Rashee Rice. They still have Travis Kelce. They still have Isaiah Pacheco. And they still have Patty
Xavier
Mahomes.
Worthy.
Worthy, I forgot. Yep.
Yeah.
So he's been having some nice moments in camp. He had one funny low light where he got absolutely bludgeoned to the earth in press.
They also still have
tripped too. He tripped and then they fucked him up, and it was like, oh, he tripped in practice. Holy shit.
They still have Kadarius Toney too. The just the absolute like Marx Brothers character of the NFL last season, where he was just making inexplicable mistakes every week. Talk about moments of joy and allowing moments of wonderment in your life. Watching Kadarius Toney just puttering and billowing his way through like high leverage situations in the NFL last year. One of the all-time moments of joy for me. So I do hope that we get a lot of that this year.
The Joker. What else? Anything else?
I think I'm tapped out.
I think you're tapped out. Well, what a huge shout out to Clipper City down 1716 Thames Street. This beautiful space. Again, fantasy football draft. If you have a podcast that you want to record or get off the ground, Sam's got equipment for you. You have this huge monitor you can use to do awesome breakdowns.
Also, if you need a lineup, like our guy Matt Eberflus, they got some skilled guys in there.
Yeah, he's a master barber. He's been doing it for 10 years. So if you need a nice dermaplane, which feels fantastic on the old skin, following the summer, you get out of the sun on your face, got some crud, Sam will hook you up with that too. So whatever your need is, we're going to be doing more of these. Look out for some watch parties. We'll maybe have a listener event here at some point to have a watch party for an away Ravens game, something like that that's catered. So yeah, we are super thrilled to be in this space. Come check it out. Come get your haircut if you want, and check out the eatings and good tidings of historic Fells Point. Again, 1716 Thames Street. Go check them out. Clipper City Barber Company at Clipper City on Instagram and socials. So and that does it, my friend.
Yep, absolutely. Shout out to all our other amazing sponsors: Jimmy's Famous Seafood, Black Eyed Susan Spices, Fed Thrill Sunglasses. Appreciate them very much. Eric actually out there with our guy Gunnar, your guy, really, Gunnar Henderson last night.
Fucked. He didn't mention it to me either.
He really sprung
kept that one to himself.
I think he might have at some point, but he did he's been busy and he kept it quiet, but it was very, very funny to me. I know you would have moved heaven and earth to be there if you hadn't gotten notice it was coming 24 hours before. But yeah, cool event that they had out there with him, it sounds like. And it sounds like some other cool stuff in the works. Maybe a certain high-level prospect who's been on quite the tear recently. There might be something in the works there at Jimmy's, so shout out to them. Shout out to our guys at Black Eyed Susan Spices, of course, and Fed Thrill with the sunglasses, which, still very much sunglass season here in August. So shout out to all of them. Shout out to you guys for listening and watching on YouTube. If you're not, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like all the videos, comment on all the videos, share it with a friend, get our names out there, help proliferate the Exit 52 family. You can also do so by finding us on social media at Exit 52 Podcast across Twitter and Instagram. I am at Jake Louque on Twitter. That's LOUQUE. Spenny's at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4 in the middle there. Brian at Barstool Banks, hopefully coming out of summer hibernation soon. He's down in Outer Banks right now. Just absolutely, like I said, just choking the life out of summer. He always finds a way to do it. Eric at EDITTI22 with all our Orioles coverage that will be continuing. Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10. We thank you guys very much. We'll talk to you again very, very soon.
See ya.
Arrivederci.
Really, really hard, and they execute the system, and that's what it's all about. Yes,
There
sir.
it is.
Trust. Big trust. Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir.
Right on cue. Hey, right on cue. Hey, let me.